Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
The medical research company Calico has cut a deal with the largest family tree website on the internet to get access to your genetic information. Now, you'll recall that Google bought Calico in 2013 as part of their research into prolonging human life. You know, obviously not for the rest of us because they already think the world is too overpopulated. So why do they want us to live forever? We don't even know. Now, with this new DNA data, they say it's properly anonymized, okay? So they're not going to know who you are. But Calico is going to be looking for genetic patterns in people who have lived exceptionally long lives. And then they're going to make drugs to help more of us do that. Now, they also go on to say how 23andMe, which is Ancestry.com's competitor, and which is run by the ex-wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin, they also inked a similar deal with Genentech to parse the genomes of Parkinson's disease patients. So here we got 23andMe and Ancestry.com are these two sites that people will send in their DNA and upload their family tree and stuff like that because everyone wants to learn about their ancestry and, you know, see what type of genetic abnormalities they might have, if they're going to be prone to any diseases. And now these companies are taking that information and sharing them, profiting off of them, and you'll see how. Now, Tim Sullivan, who's Ancestry's CEO, said that this business has been looking, his private business has been looking for years for ways to use all of that data that people are uploading. Ancestry DNA has already genotyped the DNA sequence of 1 million customers, and 2 weeks ago, the company launched Ancestry Health, which is a portal for its customers to track their personal health and wellness and then marry that with their genetic data. So they're selling this as this way for people to really, you know, understand themselves, keep track of their health and all of that. But can you see how this is a treasure trove of data? And that's exactly what Calico wants. They want the extensive, detailed genealogical data. Ancestry.com claims to have more than 2 million paying subscribers who have created 7 million historical family trees. So that's just a really rich well for them to dig into for tracking longevity trends. Now, last week we reported how Bloomberg was talking about real-life superheroes who have genetic mutations, and these genetic mutations are being exploited by drug companies because their DNA could be worth billions of dollars. Bingo, and that's what it is. And this is the same DNA that we're constantly talking about that they would like to patent. They want to patent people's DNA once they discover these mutations. So they talk about one person is Stephen Pete. He can put his hand on a hot stove or on broken glass, and he doesn't feel a thing. Timothy Dreyer is a man who has bones so dense he could walk away from an accident that would leave other people with broken limbs. So there's very few people on the planet who share these genetic mutations, but these apparent superpowers come from these exceedingly uncommon deviations in their DNA. And these genetic outliers are coveted by drug companies like Amgen and Genentech and others who are searching for drugs for some of the industry's biggest and most lucrative markets. So both of these men have an enormous amount of suffering, but because they're so rare, the drug companies aren't doing anything to actually help these men. They're just exploiting their mutations so that they can go off and sell them and make a lot of money. But we've also reported how an Army-sponsored workshop came out with a report on the future of war, and they were foreseeing basically mashed up visions of these swarm bots, cyborgs, and technology running wild. But there will be a few humans as well on the battlefield with these robots, kind of like their human masters. But these humans would be physically and mentally augmented with enhanced capabilities. These are going to improve their ability to sense their environment, make sense of their environment, and to interact with one another. Now, the report goes on to say, oh, you know, if you ask officials at DARPA, they're going to tell you that soldier enhancement involving surgery or genetic manipulation is not an area of active interest. But Wired reported in 2007 on some of the augmentation that DARPA was already working on. And so you can see how all this genetic mutation, all of these seeming superpowers that these men have, you know, these really strong bones, or they can't feel pain. You could see how the genetic information that's in Ancestry.com and 23andMe would be very vital to companies like DARPA. Wired reported DARPA was working on augmenting their soldiers so that they would have more energy. They would need less sleep. They'd have smarter analysis, stronger exoskeletons, augmented conditions, you know, like being able to see better, hear better, things like that. Better digestion. So this would enable them to eat something that was otherwise inedible, you know, basically turning them into human billy goats, and also, of course, tougher bodies. So now in 2013, David Knight interviewed AI expert Roman Yampolsky, and he discussed this pending rise of the machines.
AI is defined as making computers able to do things people typically better at. So something as trivial as a spell checker on your computer at some point was a very ambitious research project in AI. Now you no longer think of it as being artificial intelligence, but things like that are everywhere. We are surrounded by useful applications of AI, mail sorting facilities, for example.
Now, also, you would say it'd be involved in control systems, right? Like automobiles, for example.
Automobiles, but also electric grid, nuclear power plants, satellite navigation, even stock market. Everything is controlled or largely controlled by AIs now.
Now, you're a veteran of the Singularity University. Could you tell us the difference between singularity and AI, artificial intelligence?
Well, singularity is a concept. It's an idea that at some point in the future, machines will get to a point where they are as intelligent as people and maybe smarter. And at that point, the progress in technology is accelerating so fast, you can't really predict what's going to happen. It's just becoming too exponentially quick for human mind to keep up with. There is a lot of discussion about exactly what's going to happen and how quickly and how soon. So I'm trying to be conservative in my predictions. It might take as long as 200 years for us to get to that point. Will it happen? It's very likely. Is there an upper limit to intelligence, upper limit to what those systems are capable of? Quite possible, but it's still a lot higher than what human beings are capable of. So for us, it still would be very, very impressive of what those machines can do compared to us. Will it be an instant change, something happening in a matter of minutes or days versus years or decades? We're not sure about that, but it's equally interesting in both cases.
Let's talk about the dangers of artificial intelligence. Everybody's pretty much aware because we've talked about it with the Michael Hastings car accident. We've talked about the possibility of cyber attacks. Richard Clark has talked about it. DARPA's talked about it. We've seen videos of people doing that. Those are very simple AI systems, for example. You've got, let's say, an anti-lock braking system. That is, at one level, that's artificial intelligence. Wouldn't you characterize it that way, where it's making some decisions based on inputs and taking corrective action?
Well, sure. You can explain something as trivial as an if statement in a program as a simple case of AI.
Sure.
We are more interested in general AI,
right,
human level AI, but all of those are certainly examples of AI systems.
How do we guard against, say, hackers or against bugs, and how do we provide some sort of oversight for that?
Well, with hackers, very state-of-the-art algorithms. You can use certain level of encryption, limit network access. There are better practices. None of them guarantee security, but you can certainly increase chances of having a safe system. But the systems like that are inherently likely not to be 100% accurate. At some point, you still have to set a threshold for how many false positives you're willing to tolerate. And if a system is profiling hundreds of millions of citizens, even a tiny percentage, 1/10 of a percentage point, is still thousands of people who are going to be falsely identified. If that machine is all powerful and enforcing that set of rules and everyone else, that can create some very unethical consequences.
So then what is your alternative to machine ethics?
Well, my suggestion was actually not to place machines in a position of power, certainly not in a position where a machine decides which human gets to live or die. I'm very skeptical of having machines fully autonomously deciding questions of war, questions of capital punishment. I don't think there is a 100% safe approach just from ethics point of view.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfowarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molan Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfowarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfowarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfowarsStore.com, free shipping for the month of July.